All right, Braden, why don't you move? Yep. Tyler, why don't you move that way? All right, I can see James. We'll should be able to see Jack when he gets back in there. Okay.
All right, so you guys already have math before, right? No. Okay. So team C, we have started the official rules about actual Scholastic Bowl match, which most of you have been involved in. So no phone. That actually went off in the very first match. So. So, yeah, we'll turn your phones down, but it's hard to hear as is, and then on top of that, after we grab that door, Jack, we grab that door, stay. Make sure not to ask. So we're not going to stop and talk in between questions anymore, no more teaching you how to do anything, okay, it's just, like a normal meet, and we're gonna go through 24 toss-ups in a row, okay? When we get done with those 24 toss-ups, we'll take a little break, and then we're going to go to our bonus question, and we'll just kind of have like a category, and you can go back and forth between the two teams. You can still buzz in, if that makes sense, either team one. Blurt rule is in effect, so if you say something before you have your name called, only get 5. Any questions about today's event? What? Nope, 10. Yeah. I would probably are going to do 30 seconds for each math question and a bonus, but we kind of played it by ear last time. So. All right, ready? So we're going to just go through round buzzers, make sure that those all work. Karen's going to start. Abby? Caleb? Maggie? Perfect. Great. Sure, James. Reset. Oh, sorry. Thought I did. All right. Okay, let's go. Yes, we're already 10 minutes behind. And if you buzz before the answer's finished, you have the answer, right? Okay, so be careful. All right, toss-up number 1 is social studies current events. Between 2014 and 2019, this company put Hunter Biden on its board of directors and gave him control of its legal affairs unit. Identify this holding company registered as a business in Cyprus that calls itself the leading private natural gas producer operating in Ukraine. All right, it's Burisma Holdings. Oh, it's not always a fun way to start. I think you'll know this next one. Language arts literature. It was the first American novel translated into Chinese. A Siamese stage version of this novel appears in Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I. It says, perhaps the mildest form of the symptom of slavery is to be seen in the state of Kentucky. Name this 19th century novel where Aunt Chloe asks Mrs. Shelby to hire her out to work in Louisville so she can save money to buy her husband back. All right, it's Uncle Tom's Cabin. I knew you knew what it was. It's probably not from those clues. All right, mathematics, we have a 30. Second question. All right, this is mathematics geometry. Find the value of x if the three angles of a triangle are quantity x plus 21 degrees and quantity 2x plus 33 degrees and quantity, and 3x plus 18 degrees in quantity. Getting close to finishing the problem. It would have been 18. Yes. All right. Toss up science, general science. Thought originally to, oh, hang on, sorry. I have to change my timer to 10 seconds. Okay. Science, general science. Thought originally to be a star, its discoverer wanted it named for King George III, Britain's monarch at this time. Let me start that over, that didn't read correctly. Thought originally to be a star, its discoverer wanted it named for King George III, Britain's monarch at the time. Instead, it was named for the father of the Cyclops and of the Titans in Greek myth. Named this planet an ice giant that rotates on its side and whose moons have often been named for Shakespearean characters. Abby. Incorrect. James. Uranus is correct. All right, this is recorded on live TV. All right, our next toss-up is fine arts, art. Rebecca, you want to test your pleasure? Perfect. Okay, fine arts, art. Medallion, honey, fire, bumblebee, Dijon, waxen, pineapple, canary, Tuscan sun, dandelion, butterscotch, blonde, and daffodil are all shades of what color? Abby, that is correct. Which includes corn, lemon, butter, banana, and mustard. Casey, you did corn. Oh, the answer was yellow. Science, earth science is the next toss-up. Its three main types are organic, created from plant or animal debris, chemical, created by the precipitate of a solution, and plastic, created from the weathering process. Identify this main type of rock that describes chert, breccia, and coal, and is different in how it's created from either igneous or metamorphic rock. Yep, the one that wasn't enough. And yep. Sediment 3 is correct. All right, toss-up 7 is language arts vocabulary. It has been used to teach children to read since the mid-1800s. Outliving the look-say method of the early 1900s, today people argue over whether its method of teaching reading is better or worse than the whole language approach used in many schools. Name this type of reading instruction emphasizing the idea that each letter or combination of letters has a corresponding sound. Jack? Incorrect. It's phonics. I clicked on phonics. Social studies geography is toss-up 8. The Virginia State Park named for it is near the borders with both Kentucky and Tennessee. Created in large part by Daniel Boone, it was used by thousands who moved from the East Coast to settle Kentucky between 1775 and 1810. Give the common two-word term for this path through the Cumberland Gap that comes from the dangerous and unexplored terrain it passed through. Caleb? Incorrect. It was Wilderness Road. Good guess. Toss-up 9, language arts literature. She is the subject of 2 plays by the Greek writer Euripides. In one, she is a priestess at Paris and meets her long-lost brother Orestes. In the other, she is told that she will be married to Achilles, but instead is almost sacrificed to the gods. Name this daughter of myth, nearly killed by her father, Agamemnon. I probably just looked at those names. Yeah. What did you say? Yeah. Incorrect. Iphigenia. Very interesting names in that one. Toss-up 10 is miscellaneous consumer science. Once called a bungalore, it was first mass-produced in the 1920s. Pedro Flores improved it by lengthening the string that is tied around its axle so its users can make it sleep or keep it spinning in place for minutes at a time. James. Yo-yo is correct. That's a fun one. You could play tricks like rock the baby, walk the dog, and around the world. All right, the next one is a 30-second question. It is mathematics geometry. A rectangle surrounding the origin has corners at -4, -5, and 4, -5. After the rectangle has been dilated by a factor of 7, give the coordinates of the top right corner of the rectangle. James? Incorrect. Jim?
-28, -35.
Good try. Just +28 and +35. Good effort, boys. All right. Next toss-up is social studies history. His followers wore black shirts and marched on Rome. When he was deposed and arrested in Italy, Hitler's troops rescued him, though he was later executed by his own angry countrymen. Name this fascist director who took the title Duce while in charge of the Italian government during World War II. Yeah, that is correct. Mussolini. Good job. All right, next toss-up is science, health. Ranked by directors at Harvard, Stanford, and Oxford, it calls for focused protection against COVID-19 and criticizes both lockdowns and keeping students out of school. Give the two-word term for this October 2020 declaration that says, those who are not vulnerable should immediately be allowed to resume life as normal. and is named for the Massachusetts town where it was drafted. It is the Great Barrington Declaration. All right, toss-up 14 is miscellaneous television. His new book is This Anything, is a collection of jokes he's written during his long career that includes a long-running sitcom whose major premise was, it's a show about nothing. Name this actor whose Netflix series Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee includes one episode where Jason Alexander plays the character George Constanza. I bet your viewers are disappointed. Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld. Ask your parents, they would know. Jerry Seinfeld. Social studies, current events, toss-up 15. Its current governor, General Dane Patsy Reddy, once spent time as this country's chief crown negotiator of treaty settlements. Name this Pacific nation where, in October 2020, its Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern won a landslide re-election. That country is New Zealand. Toss-up 16 is miscellaneous sports. It was played in Los Angeles for more than 20 years, and then later in Hawaii for 30 years more. For the last 4 years, it was played in Orlando, Florida, but has been canceled for 2021 because of COVID-19. Identify this special occasion played with intentional grounding, but without block punts or kickoffs that serves as the NFL's All-Star game. Maggie. Incorrect. The Rose Bowl's for college, it's the Pro Bowl. Toss-up 17 is a 32nd question. And it is mathematics, general math. A business develops a method of making its new product so that each unit of the product costs 20% less to make than the previous unit did. If the first unit costs $100 to make, how much does it cost to make the first 3 units of the new product? Caleb. What did you say one more time? $140. Incorrect. Jack? Incorrect. Add 180 and 64 to get 244. Look. All right, topic 18 is science, physical science. If it can be safely tested by a human, it will probably taste sour. It is typically colorless and phenolphthalein and turns blue litmus paper red. Name this type of chemical that forms a salt when combined with a base. Jane. Acid is correct. Topic 19, fine arts music. This composer used the Dresden Amen from his childhood to represent the Holy Grail in his opera Parsifal, which was first performed in this opera house at Bayreuth. The curse of this titled character is relieved by Senta in his opera The Flying Dutchman. Name this German composer whose operas Götterdämmerung and Ras Ringgold are part of his ring cycle? The composer is Wagner, Richard Wagner. Class of 20 is mathematics computers, 10 seconds. You can nest a set of these objects so that one is inside another. Its major types depend on the computer language being used. They include for and do while. Give this term for a set of computer instructions that will repeat over and over until it is stopped by another command. Jack? Incorrect. Right. We did this in code.org, a loop. Same thing over and over. All right, social studies, geography is class of 21. Going counterclockwise, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Indiana all border on what state, whose cities include Zanesville, Bowling Green, Youngstown, Akron? Tyler? Ohio is correct. Ohio. For it's 50-20, we have 3 more toss-ups to go before we go. What? Toss-up 22 is science health. Provided with blood by the deep brachial artery, it looks like a horseshoe and is used to extend the forearm at the elbow joint, with 2 of its heads originating from the humerus. Exercise with push-ups and bench presses. Identify this muscle with long, medial, and lateral heads that is named from the Latin for 3 heads. Caleb, triceps are correct. Concept 23, miscellaneous television. In several of his appearances, he has been recently released from prison, but goes back shortly after his latest scheme is uncovered. At one point, he was mayor of a small Italian village until Lisa began joking about his criminal past in America. Name this character, originally a sidekick for Krusty the Clown, who often tries to kill Bart, and is voiced on The Simpsons by Kelsey Grammer. Rebecca? That is correct. Sideshow Bob. All right, toss-up 24 is social studies history. Last toss-up. He was part of the Free Officers movement that overthrew King Farouk I. After some 15 years in power, he resigned over losing the 6-day war to Israel, but unresigned the next day. Name this Egyptian leader who built the Aswan High Dam, tried to nationalize the Suez Canal, and was succeeded in office by Anwar Sadat. Yeah, so what do you do the last pronunciation? Nasser? Jamal Abdel Nasser. All right, so that's it for our toss-ups. We'll take a short little break and we'll do some bonuses after. And I'm going to need to find the rest of the boxes. Somebody needs to stand up and stretch or anything? I need to stand up and stretch. That's true. Got a good workout in today. I was running on the walls. So. We need to leave at 2:15. Anybody else need to leave at 2:15? Oh, you said to stay for your match?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I need to stay for like 2 so.
We started on that early the other day. We had like half of it, half the other team.
Yes.
Jack can just go to the bathroom, right?
Yes.
Oh, wait. This is the 60.
No, 80 times 3. God,
Oh,
and not a human.
I really was. I was thinking of that too.
Because Poseidon is the father of all Cyclops. So I was thinking,
Oh, yeah.
and so that's why I said no.
Oh, for the planet one, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about that one where I was like picturing all of Disney.
but then I realized after I
It's a genia.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
I don't know.
But I don't remember any of
I guess he did if I have to go down that way. Oh, he did go? Good. All right, so for bonuses, I think it worked pretty well last match. What I did is I just gave you the category and the clue, and then I would read the first one, either side to buzz in, I read the second one, either side to buzz in. So that worked okay last time? Just like a toss up, once I give the category and clue. Yeah. So I'm going to give you the toss up. It's miscellaneous sports. Your clue is the Los Angeles Dodgers made it to the 2020 World Series for the first time in 4 years. Okay, so all of your questions are going to have something to do with that. But either team can buzz in for the 4. All right, toss up. Well, part 1. Their last World Series win came in 1988. Sparked by a Kirk Gibson home run against this American League champion. Tyler? Incorrect. It was the Oakland A's, or an athletic. Part 2, in 2017, the Dodgers lost the series to this team, who stole their opponent's sign en route to the title. Maggie. Incorrect. Cubs would cheat, though. Braden. It is. Nice. The Astros. In 2018, the Dodgers lost the series to this team, whose outfielder Mookie Betts now plays for the Dodgers. Braden. Correct. The Red Sox. It is 80-30. Last bonus for the sports. The Dodgers are playing the 2020 series against this team. Tyler? Nope. It was the Tampa Bay Rays. All right, so new bonus category is social studies current events from 2021. In October of 2020, a New York newspaper revealed an email to Hunter Biden from a Burisma advisor thanking Hunter for letting him meet Hunter's father, Joe. Part 1, name the newspaper, a rival of the Times. Maggie. Incorrect. James? No, it's the New York Post. It is a thing. Part 2. The email was on a laptop that Hunter may have left for repair but never picked up again in this state where he grew up. Rebecca. Not Wyoming. Caleb.
Virginia.
Not Virginia, it was Delaware. Part 3. This former mayor of New York City told the newspaper about. Jack. Incorrect. This former mayor of New York City told the newspaper about the computer. It was Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani. Part 4. Many journalists think the story is a disinformation effort by this country to sabotage Biden's campaign. Caleb. It is Russia. Yep. For 40 to 80. All right, our next section of bonuses are mathematics, general math. So yeah, we'll kind of have to play this by ear time-wise, but you want to copy down the following 9 numbers. Ready to copy down the numbers, Jack? Well, that's going to be hard to copy down numbers. The numbers are 15, 46, 61, 23, 70, 81, 50, 32, and 94. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what this means. Hope you guys do. Okay. For this set, give the part 1 upper quartile value. Caleb? 50. Incorrect. Not 50. James? 70. Close. Jack, come up, please. Come on, broken. It is 75 and a half. Part 2, the lower quartile value. Caleb? 100 and a half. Incorrect. James? Close. 27.5 or 27 and a half. So the upper, you were only doing the average of the 7th and 8th numbers, and the lower, you're only doing the average of the 2nd and 3rd. Were you including the first? Nice. You're close. You're close. All right, the median for those for those numbers. Caleb. 70. Incorrect. Huh. James? 50. 50. Yep. And the last one, the interquartile range. Caleb? 79. Incorrect. James? 48. It is 48. Wow. I don't even know what those words mean, so good job. It says quartile. There's no N in there. All right. Our next section of bonus are science, physical science. Answer these about Uranus. Part 1. He discovered Uranus in 1781. Maggie. Incorrect. It is Herschel, Sir William Herschel. Part 2. Since 1781, Uranus has gone this number of times completely around the sun. Caleb. Incorrect. Jane. Oh, you're in the right ballpark. It's 2. This methane in its atmosphere makes Uranus appear this color. Caleb. Blue. It does appear blue. Yep. 50 to 100. That's it. Part 4. In 1986, this massive spacecraft made the only visit to Uranus so far. Jack?
Interspace. I did not even get it.
Incorrect. It was the Voyager 2. Was this spacecraft to visit Uranus. All right, I think you will know some of these. Language arts literature. Name these title characters in stories by Hans Christian Andersen. Part 1. This one finally figures out that he really is a swan. Jack.
Ugly duckling.
The ugly duckling. Part 2. One title character gets a bad night's sleep after sleeping on top of the other title character. Tyler.
Princess and the Bee?
Yes, the Princess and the Pea. Wow. Part 3. Its title character wants legs like a human and gets them by giving up her tongue. Abby. The Little Mermaid. And part 4. She sees her grandmother on New Year's Eve as she is freezing to death. It is the Little Match Girl. All right, next bonus section is fine arts art. The collection at his namesake Pittsburgh Museum includes his pop art works showing consumer products and of popular celebrities. Part 1, name this American artist who gave us the phrase 15 minutes of fame. American pop art artist. Andy Warhol. Part 2, one of his consumer product works showcases a ketchup by this company. Now merged. James? Heinz is correct. They merged with Kraft. Part 3, one of his celebrities was this 1960s First Lady. Kennedy, Jackie Kennedy. And part 4, he also created a portrait of this longtime Chinese communist leader. All right, it was Mao Zedong. Okay, I think you like this bonus section, miscellaneous comic books. Name these comic book characters. Part 1. His real name is Kal-El. Given to him, James, Superman on the planet Krypton. Did I say his name correctly? Okay. Part 2. In a recent Civil War set of comics, this hero publicly unmasked himself to reveal Peter Parker. James, Spider-Man. Part 3. Once played in a movie by Sylvester Stallone, this character not only performs his own legal job, but also acts as jury and executioner. Jack? Incorrect. It is Judge Dredd. And part 4. After this member of the Fantastic Four was mutated by cosmic radiation, his skin now looks like rock. James? The Thing. Yep. James, knowing his comic books, your dad would be proud. 160 to 60. Here we go. Social studies history. Answer these about the history of South Carolina. Part 1. In colonial days, this plant used for its blue dye was a major cash crop in South Carolina. Karen. Indigo is correct. Part 2. This freed black man was arrested and hanged in 1822 before the Charleston slave rebellion he was said to be organizing could actually begin. Caleb? Douglas. Good guess. James? Also. Denmark, Bessie is the last name. Bessie. Part 3. South Carolina engaged in this practice when it ignored the federal tariffs of 1828 and 1832, claiming they were unconstitutional. James? Incorrect. It is nullification. And there it is. Okay. In 1962, this South Carolina college was forced to admit its first black student, Harvey Gantt, who later became the first black mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina. Clemson University. All right, our next bonus category will be science health. Name these organs within the human body. Part 1. This part of your digestive system connects your throat with your Caleb? Esophagus is correct. Part 2. This largest organ in the lymph system is found under your diaphragm. Jack? Incorrect. It's your spleen. When this organ that holds urine gets very full, you need, Abby? Bladder. You need a restroom very badly, she says. It is the bladder. Part 4. This organ can become diseased from too much alcohol or from hepatitis. James? Incorrect. Caleb? The liver. Oh, all right, this might be our last section of bonuses, and it is language arts literature. Its teenage main character has his hand permanently damaged by molten silver and must thus give up his dream of being a silversmith. Part 1. Give the first and last name of this title character who later takes part in the real-life Boston Tea Party. Jack? Incorrect. Johnny Tremaine. Part 2. Name the woman who won the Newbery Award for her novel about him. Forbes, Esther Forbes. Part 3. This real-life silversmith wants to give him a job and helps him with his silversmith skills. It is Revere, Paul Revere. Not the clue I would have known about him. Part 4. The title character is injured while trying to create a silver object for his real-life man whose signature on the... Okay. The title character is injured while trying to create a silver object. Yeah? Okay? The title character is injured while trying to create a silver object for this real-life man whose signature on the Declaration of Independence looks abnormally large. Caleb. Hancock is correct. All right, what time is it? Think so? All right, one more. Social studies history. Answer these about things that happened on October 21st. The birthday of the writer's youngest child. I don't know if it's the writer of these questions or what. Interesting. All right, part 1. In 1512, he joined the faculty at the University of Wittenberg. James. Incorrect. When in doubt, guess it. It is Luther, Martin Luther. Part 2. Lord Nelson defeated the French in this 1805 naval battle off the coast of Spain. It is the Battle of Trafalgar. All right, I think you can get the last two and strong. This New York City Art Museum opened to the public in 1959. Yeah? No, but good guess. It would be a good guess. Guggenheim Museum. Amazing. In 1983, this length was defined as the distance light can travel in about 1/300 millionth of a second. Give a distance. Right in. Not a kilometer. Good. Not a mile. Just a meter. Good try. All right, guys, it was 100 to 160. Well, they have four most of the time. Abby, would you know the author of Black Beauty? No. The Hound of the Baskerville? No. you got? You had not. Me? Back, you had two. Tyler had two. Brandon had two. Oh, you had six. Did I pick that against you? We all have one.
I think 6. Thanks for joining.